Hey guys, what's going on? Oink here, and today we got a brand new set of seasonal events. So of course I'm going to be going through each event as usual, showing my laps and all of the usual business. This week we have got Stars and Stripes. It's a Gran Championship. It's basically for with the regulations there, maximum 580 performance points, sports hard tyres, and basically as long as it's from the United States, you have free reign. And the prize for getting the gold across all events is the Chaparral 2D race car, which is very rare. It comes only from the used car dealership or from a random ticket. So a pretty awesome prize for this one. We start off with High Speed Ring Reverse, then Daytona Road Course, then Grand Valley, then Special Stage Route 5, and then a custom Toscana change time track. The car that I've chosen to use is a Mark IV race car, the Ford Mark IV race car. Now by this point there is pretty much no excuse not to have as many credits as you could possibly want. It takes somewhere between, I don't know, maybe an hour's worth of racing to get to 20 million credits. And I'm pretty sure this car was like a prize for something, maybe? I'm not too sure. Maybe one of the recent seasonals it was a prize. Anyway, you should have this car by now. The only difference I've made is I dropped the power down to about 92.5% to get it into the 580 performance points. And I also reduced the downforce there so I could have that little bit of extra power as opposed to having more downforce and less power. Anyway, let's crack right on. If anyone hasn't used this car before, this is one of those rare examples of a car which sounds absolutely incredible. It's so gravelly, got a really nice bass to it, and it really does sound fantastic. And there are a few cars in the game which do sound really great, and this is definitely one of them. So if nothing else, just try driving this car for the epic sound. Anyway, I don't know, either this car or the particular event, this whole seasonals set is very easy, but either one or the other, this was absolutely no challenge whatsoever for me. Most of these I was taking first place within the first 2 laps, sometimes on the 3rd lap if it wasn't going so well for me, but generally pretty early on. High Speed Ring, I mean, this is, this is basically stock tuning. As I said, all I've done is alter the downforce and reduce the power. The only thing you remember that is you are on sport hard tyres, and this thing has got an absolute boatload of torque. In first gear you'll find you will get a lot of wheel spin, so just watch out. You can see I take first right at the end of lap 2. But yeah, so just watch out if you ever do drop into first gear and be gentle on the throttle. Otherwise just use second as your lowest gear and you basically be absolutely fine. Daytona has got a few slow corners which you have to watch out for, and obviously this first corner is a pretty tricky one. I just slip in there down the inside, but generally I'd recommend avoiding going for overtakes on that first corner. The corner you see here, the AI take a very interesting line. They almost go straight at the wall and then slam the brakes on, dodge the wall and into the grass, so you might find AI sort of swerving around the place on that corner. So again, just watch out, because otherwise you might just end up right in the back of them, or they might push you off the track or something. And they do seem to be quite slow through the infield section, so basically just work your way through them at a reasonable pace. And as I said, if you do choose to use first gear in any of these very sort of slow hairpin like corners, and especially this last turn coming out of the infield there onto the speedway, you've got to be really careful, because as I said, the power that goes down is a little bit too much for the amount of grip that the sport hard tyres offer, so you will find your back wheels just spinning up a little bit, and yeah, you might find yourself just spinning around. But I mean, then again, you can probably afford 1 or 2 mistakes on this event, because it was so easy. I just moved on to the second lap version of my bus stop section here. As the first lap, I braked a little bit late. This was the first time doing it. I wasn't sure of the braking point. I braked a bit late and ended up kind of cutting across the grass a bit to make it in, so it wasn't that neat. So I basically just showed a slightly neater there, so you can get the proper braking points down and things like that. But yeah, obviously, pick up a bit of draft down the speedway section, get as much speed as you can. I upped the transmission just ever so slightly for this one, but for all of the other tracks it was just basically left at default. But yeah, as I said, for this very one track I upped it by a notch or two on the max speed, and you can see here I just come in quite cautiously into turn 1. I probably could have taken him on the corner, but I didn't want to risk, you know, bombing it into corner 1 and just, you know, shunting him in the back. And you can see there that guy taking that very strange line through just that little kink there. So basically, yeah, I just play it safe, hang on behind him, and then make the overtake when it's easy to do so. And we'll move on to Grand Valley Speedway. Well, as with all of these, nothing too difficult here. Except, I mean, obviously you've got to watch out places like that. Turn 1, there's a bit of sand on the side, and you know, you don't really want to be in the sand if possible. It might make you spin or lose a lot of time in general. So just, again, sort of coast it in. If you just brake early and just let the gas off, the car will turn nicely into that corner. And yeah, you shouldn't really have a problem there. Again, there's quite a few slow speed corners where you might find yourself dropping down to gear 1, in which case, again, just remember that you don't want to be too aggressive on the throttle. Just ease it in, as you can see there, of about sort of 30-40%, and then as the corner opens up, just ease into first. You may even want to short shift into second. The thing's got pretty good revs at just under about 6,500 torque. Sorry, 6,500 revs. It's got pretty good torque, so you don't have to, you know, if you have to short shift to second, you won't lose too much power, which is fine. A slip down the inside there, and you'll have to watch out. Actually, the AI again take quite a wide line through there, so if you were going for the overtake on the outside, which is what I was expecting to do, then you'll find the AI just kind of lingering in that part of the track, so you will need to watch out for their slightly curious lines. This is probably the toughest section to get right. The car understeers very, very heavily on the exit of this corner here, and you can see I basically I basically did something similar to that in almost every one of my laps, so I couldn't be bothered, you know, I didn't find another section to replace that with. But basically, make sure you turn in late as possible for that one. I thought I turned in quite late there, but even then, you know, you turn in nicely and then it just understeers like crazy on the exit, so just watch out there. But even if you make the mistake, you'll see exactly what happened to me. I just sort of bumped off the side of the wall and let off the gas back into the track, and no problem. Take first and finish up the 5th lap there, as you can see, and we move into special stage Route 5. Obviously we're at night here, so a little bit difficult on the visibility, but it shouldn't, you know, if you're used to the track, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. The one problem I have with night tracks is unless I close my curtains, I get a bit of glare on the screen, and the night tracks are quite dark, and the headlamps on this car don't seem to be the greatest. As I slide in the inside there, that was a pretty awesome overtake. But yeah, I find it's actually quite tricky to see on the night courses unless I close my curtains, and I feel like some kind of gremlin closing my curtains in the middle of the afternoon, so sometimes it's a little bit tricky, and actually it was a bit of a problem on the last track, but we'll go into that later. This car handles really nicely on this track. Not too much oversteer. A little bit, again, you can see just coming into first gear there. It's a bit bumpy in places, and obviously when you hit a bump, your wheels will sort of lose contact with the ground for a moment, and you might find yourself just losing a little bit of your grip. So watch out if you're heavy on the throttle in some of those slower, bumpier sections up near the top of the hill by that really tight hairpin. But for the rest of the track, handles pretty nice. It's got a good amount of grip, and you can floor it pretty early. The cool thing with this car is, despite it being like all race car-ish and stuff, you can surprisingly easily hold slides. If you do, you know, push the car a little bit too fast around the corner, you can just hold the slide quite nicely and counter steer it. Anyway, take first on the second lap, about halfway round. Gave him a little bit of a nudge and finish off that race, and we'll move on to the final one, which is a Toscana Custom, and of course this is the time change, so we start off with it nice and bright, and we will be ending in darkness. And again, as I was just mentioning, it was actually very tricky to see where you were going. I think this happened in one of the previous weeks. It was very bad visibility. Not to mention that the sun glares right in your face, that doesn't help either. But anyway, get used to the track in the first few laps, or maybe just have a couple runs so you can get used to the track. But probably one of the tougher of the events. I mean, that's not to say that it was tough. I think I took first in lap 3. So you can kind of tell, like, lap 3 is the hardest of the events, so, you know, really not that difficult, but it would be one of those ones where you just want to get used to the track, so that you don't make too many mistakes once it's really, really dark in the last, in lap 4 and lap 5. I'll show you a clip of the darkness so you can kind of get a gist of what you're saying, what I was saying, and as I was also saying, with the glare on the screen, you might find it a little bit tricky to you know, get your way around the track. But then again, it's pretty easy to get into first, and once you're there you can kind of just take it easy, you know, just brake nice and early for all your corners, just try and anticipate it, or maybe just pop the map on a slightly further out zoom level so you can, you know, predict what's going to what the corners are going to be doing, so you can really be prepared for the turns once it gets really, you know, once it gets to the darker stage. Oh, one extra thing, check this out, the cars, I don't know if all of the AI were doing it, it didn't seem to, but this one guy had a bit of a problem on turn 1. You come over this hill, I just see smoke in the distance, and I get there and this guy's just totally lost it on the side of the track. I nearly crunched right into the back of his car, but just managed to dodge him, and that Ford GT just slams into the side of me as I go for the pass. But you can see here it's pretty dark. Like, it doesn't look that bad in this video, but when the sun's just on the horizon, it kind of glares in your face and it's dark and whatever. Anyway, there we go. There are the seasons. I hope you found this video helpful. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.